All right, welcome to Hammers and Hustle podcast. I think this is episode 7. Not really sure, not keeping track, don't really care. My name is Josiah Hollabaugh. I'm with Good Life Claims here, based out of Omaha, Nebraska. We run claims in Iowa and Nebraska, North and South Dakota, and if it's commercial, we do it in Kansas because you can't be a PA in residential claims in Kansas. So, um, but with me today is Vince Perri. Is it Perry?
Yep,
Just okay.
Perry.
I didn't know if it had some fancy French uh, pronunciation. I have a friend who his last name is spelled Clutier, so it looks like Clouter, and it's actually Cloutier. So
Oh wow, that's pretty. That's pretty
yeah,
nice.
it's
I like
completely
that
different.
better.
Yeah,
You,
it's
you don't
completely
mess
different.
that up. Make sure you get that right.
Yeah. Oh, he'll let you know about it too.
I'm
Uh,
sure he will.
um, but Vince Rudd owns and operates Elite Resolution and Claims Advocates based out of Tampa, Florida. It looks like they run all over Florida. It looks like they have an office down in Miami as well. Um, but yeah, Vince, tell me a little bit about yourself. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on. Just I really appreciate the time. What a, I mean, 16 years. 16 years I've been a public adjuster. It's a long freaking time.
That is a long
I've been
time.
an adjuster since back in the day where we didn't have to do so much extensive testing and all the stuff that and all the hoops and hoopla that the insurance company likes to put you through just so you could try to actually prove the legitimate claim that you would not have actually presented if it wasn't a legitimate claim. Back in the day, we used to basically just show each other an estimate, negotiate, and settle it just like that. Unfortunately, it's not very much like that these days. But yeah, 16 years I've been a public adjuster. Worked for a public adjusting firm for quite some time, for about 10 years before I started Elite Resolutions about 5 years ago. And about 5 years ago as well, I decided to get on YouTube. And initially, I had started the YouTube channel for the consumer, for the policyholder. But for some reason, I felt that they wouldn't find it as interesting because nobody cares about their claim until they actually have one. So I decided to basically gear it towards public adjusters. And quite frankly, it just kind of took off from there. And what came from that was definitely an established like expert in the industry nationwide, along with books, courses, and well, quite frankly, some residual income in a way that I could also just give back to the community that's given so much to me over the last 16 years. I'm very passionate about advocacy. I'm very passionate about standing up for the little man. And that's kind of what we do as public adjusters. So YouTube really gave me the opportunity to do that and obviously ultimately help public adjusters throughout the entire country do better.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So 16 years. So that means you were. What was the first big hurricane that you guys worked?
I was still working Hurricane Wilma. So when the year Katrina and Wilma hit, that was '05.
Yep.
And I became an adjuster like '08. And in Florida back then, I guess you call it statute of limitations or whatever, to reopen a claim was 5 years. So when I became an adjuster in '08, '09, I was still actually, I had just started. I was driving around town. I lived in Miami at the time. And I would just look for blue tarps pretty much. And then I would just door knock the entire neighborhood. And I would just basically ask them, I never filed new claims 4 years after just because to me at the time that didn't make any sense. So I would just ask them, hey, did you file a Hurricane Wilma or Hurricane Katrina claim? And if they said yes, I would ask them, well, did you hire a public adjuster? Just knowing that if they didn't hire a public adjuster, if they said yes, I'd be like, all right, cool, you're probably satisfied, you probably got everything you need, and you probably can't move forward anyway. And then if they said no, I would say, all right, well, if you'd like, for no charge, give me a chance. Let me take a look at the documentation. Let me take a look at the damage. And if they underpaid in any way, I can get you more money on this claim. You still got 2 years. We could reopen that claim. I can put a new estimate together and ultimately get you more money on your claim. You've got nothing to lose because you're here now. You haven't done anything for 3.5 years. I can get you more money on your claim.
That's crazy. Yeah. So Katrina was one of the first storms I worked on the carrier side. So I started off as a staff adjuster and did the staff stuff for 12, 13 years. And then I was a forensic building consultant. So, um, I don't know if you're familiar with those. Like, essentially, that's when the insurance company can't put a price tag on something, they hire a building consultant to come in and put a price tag on it. So like one of the claims I worked on was 230 million. It was
Holy moly, that's quite a whopper.
Yeah, it was a Hurricane Maria claim. It's like 12 giant shopping centers in Puerto Rico. And I was the project manager for that one. So, and then once COVID hit, I wanted to stop traveling. I kind of came to this side of the fence. I started off by working as a supplementer for a local roofer. COVID, right? Like everything shut down. And then after that, I kind of switched in. We had a hailstorm move through my neighborhood, and a lot of my neighbors were getting screwed. So I was like, public adjuster, here I come. And so a lot of my first clients were just my neighbors. So
that's usually how it goes. I mean, you start within your own circle, you start with the people that you know, and then you go from there and ask them if they know anyone. And then you go from there, join some networking groups, and you go from there and you call a phone number on the side of a truck. Yep. Pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, literally that's how it goes. But yeah, I mean, it's just me, and I have one person that helps me. But you know, the difference in environments between Florida and Nebraska per se is that Florida, most everybody's familiar with what a public adjuster is. They may not use them, but they know what they are. Here, they don't even know what they are and that we even exist. So, like, you know, one claim we had this year, so we had it's just been just over a year ago, we had a tornado take out a couple of neighborhoods on the west side of town. And I saw a news story. This is like 3 or 4 months ago. I saw a news story. A couple had been affected by the tornado, and their insurance carrier first said, okay, so you have minimal damage. And then when they pushed back, the carrier went back and pulled their application, found out that the agent had misrepresented the age of the roof, and then post-dated a cancellation back to the policy effective date.
That's quite the negligence. That's a lot of negligence. That's pretty crazy.
Isn't that? It was wild. It was wild. And so, of course, I'm like, as a public adjuster, there's not going to be a whole lot I can do for you in that scenario. So I referred him out to an attorney, and it's actually in litigation now. But like, I mean, they were going to pay him like $2,000 or $3,000, and I think their contractor's estimate was like $140,000. So, but they had, I mean, all brick home, all the windows. I mean, with tornadoes, it's different, right? Like tornadoes, there's such low pressure in them that it'll actually just suck the seals out of the windows and suck all the gas out of them. And I have actually 2 claims right now that I'm dealing with that specific thing. That is potentially going to litigation on both of them. So,
and let me ask you, over in Nebraska, is it attorney fees and cost statute? Like, are the attorney fees and costs paid for by the insurance company once they ultimately settle the claim?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. As long as you file their appropriate paperwork in the appropriate time frame. Yep.
Yeah. So unfortunately, in Florida, we've lost that. They got rid of that last year.
Well, Florida's gotten real weird in the last year.
Yeah. And to your comment in regards to people know what a public adjuster is, yeah, probably compared to Nebraska, you are probably correct. A lot more people here in Florida know what a public adjuster is compared to Nebraska, but I would just say that's because we have so many storms and so on and so forth. But I'd be lying if I would tell you 16 years later, when I tell someone that I'm a public adjuster, I either wait for the follow-up question, which is, what the hell is that? Or I just tell them, do you actually know what that is? And then I have to explain it. And I will tell you, Josiah, it's still 9 people out of 10, even in Florida. So it's not like as much, it's not what you think. It's probably still more, but there's also more people that live here anyway than in Nebraska. And yeah, I would probably go so far to say 80 to 90% of the people still don't know that a public adjuster even exists and can actually be hired on a claim.
It's just wild. It's just wild because I mean,
by design.
Oh, of course it is, because public adjusters are disadvantageous to the insurance companies, and they're the ones that have all of the money and all of the resources.
Yeah. And over here, they scream and shout that they're getting screwed because there's so many storms and they're paying out too many claims and they can't afford the claims anymore because of all the storms and all the damage, it's a lot. Obviously, they have to pay a lot more here. And being a successful insurance company is going to be a little bit more difficult here in Florida. However, when you're still putting Aaron Rodgers and Arnold Schwarzenegger and all the characters on a Super Bowl commercial for multiple millions of dollars per second, it makes you think, well, they must have enough money to do something.
Well, it's funny because I don't know about you, but I get this question all the time. Which ones are the ones that I want to avoid? Who do I want to stay away from? And I say, if you see them advertising during the Super Bowl, probably stay away from them.
Yeah, unfortunately, the big two are also the hardest ones to deal with. Yeah, I would say State Farm and Allstate are still for sure the most difficult insurance companies to deal with. They've got some of the most strictest and most difficult policy languages out there, as opposed to some of the smaller ones that you haven't heard of. But the way I answer that question, quite frankly, is it doesn't matter. Well, which one's the best? Which one's the worst? And honestly, my answer is normally, well, they all suck. They're all difficult when it comes to the claims process. And I try to make them understand, I've always been very good at putting myself in the other person's shoes. It's just something I don't know. I'm a good listener and I understand sort of where people are coming from always, whenever they're talking about anything. Even on the insurance company side, like, if Josiah comes to me and says, hey man, can you loan me $100,000? Like, I'm going to want to know why he wants $100,000. I'm going to, quote unquote, investigate as to, okay, is he going to actually be using this money because he really needs it? Or is he just going to go and buy some stupid shit that, he probably shouldn't have in his life anyway? So if I'm the insurance company, I'm going to fork out a new roof or whatever it is, like, policy is the policy, and we're going to investigate, and we're going to have to be sure that our investigation actually shows that it needs to be paid. Now, with that said, here now in 2025, compared to the 1992 Andrew days, compared to even the 2005 Wilma and Katrina days, where you used to hear about adjusters going out with a checkbook, and they would just write a check. Like, those days are long gone. They were always... And it should be, quite frankly, because they are getting paid a premium every month, it should be always leaning towards coverage. If there's any doubt, it should lean towards coverage. The problem of where we are at now is that they're always leaning towards denial. They're always leaning towards fraud. They're always leaning towards, no, that date's not wrong. So they're already going in like you're guilty until proven innocent, as opposed to innocent until proven guilty. And that's not the way it should be. But that's the way it is, unfortunately.
Did you see the news yesterday at all?
I'm not really of a news person. I don't like that. That's just not
so
for my mental health.
So I am not either. Like, let me make that clear. I watch less than 5 minutes of news a week at most.
I tell people all the time, and it's probably, I don't think it's worse. It's just I get my news from whatever's on my social media feed and what my wife reads.
Yeah. So Josh Hawley, who's a senator from Missouri, and I'm not sure which committee it was, but they drugged Allstate and State Farm in front of subcommittee yesterday. And
there was another thing. There was something yesterday that were in Florida, the whistleblower. Is that what you're talking about? It was a big deal.
They had 3 adjusters, from what I understand. They had 3 adjusters, 1 homeowner, the chief claims officer for Allstate. I'm not sure who from State Farm they had there.
They had Heritage, I think, on there too. I think it was Heritage or Universal.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to watch it. It's like almost 2.5 hours long.
One of my claims may or may not be involved in that case.
Well, so the person that was involved is a Mrs. Miguel, but I think anyways, talking about how the two out of the 3 adjusters that went out to the property, hired by Allstate, so independent adjusters. We're lucky they're not Seek Now or Hancock or Insert inspectors here, right? Said that after they submitted their paperwork, they were told to revise it, and each time it was a negative revision. So I think one of them said, I saw the news article, and one of them, it went from $100,000 down to like $5,000, which I'm like, happens all the time.
So it's pretty common, right? Like when you meet an independent adjuster out on the property, it is true they do get paid, which makes perfect sense, right? Like the larger your estimate, the longer it's going to take, the more hours you have to put in, which is the more you should be paid. So they do like to go out there and they tell the homeowner and they tell you, "Hey man, just show me everything. I'm paid to write it up." Which is great. And it's very true because they ultimately can charge more the more they write up, but they're not the ones making the coverage decision. They're not the ones making the final decision on how much that claim is actually worth. So what ends up happening is they send it back, and a couple of revisions is okay and it's understandable, but it's egregious to where the point that it's gotten to. Yeah, you're talking they slash. I think it's something like 80 to 90% of the estimate on it, and they just say no, we don't think that it's covered. And now, not only does it obviously hurt the homeowner, but it even hurts the independent adjusting field of you actually going out there and making money. And then it makes you think twice also when you do go out there to actually scope a loss and put together an estimate, whether it's even worth writing all this stuff up, because it's going to be double and triple the work, because you know it's going to get kicked back as soon as you submit it to the insurance company for you to now revise your estimate and do everything over again. So initially the idea of it, like, I get it, but at the same time, it's just become, yeah, that's the whistleblower case that's gotten a lot of attention. That's my good friends. That's Doug Quinn of the APA,
Yep.
and
Stephen Michael Bush.
And Stephen Michael Bush.
Yeah, you can see him from Merlin Law Group. You can see him right behind them as they're testifying. He's sitting right there. Yeah, I haven't met Dan. I have talked, or Doug, excuse me, not Doug. Dan. I haven't met Doug. I have spoken with Stephen on a handful of occasions. So I had some legal stuff going on in northern Missouri that Merlin's got an attorney there. So
Stephen used to be a public adjuster.
He did. Yep. And then he went back to law school. I am very familiar with that. Yep. He's not the only one. There's a handful of them too that have started off as public adjusters and went back and went to law school. So
it makes more sense. I mean, what happens is as a public adjuster, depending on the state you're in and depending on some of the things that you're able to do or the leverage that you might have, there are some states where it's just become very difficult to be a public adjuster because a lot of the leverage is gone. And without any leverage, like to file a lawsuit or to do different things. I mean, at that point, if you've got the time and if you've got the time to study to ultimately be a lawyer, I would never be a lawyer. It's just not for me. However, once you do have a law degree, you have a lot of options and you could be very successful and make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in the claims business, because ultimately, like everybody says, there's always going to be claims. There's always going to be natural disasters. There's always going to be a fight with the insurance company. And on the law side, you're always going to have work no matter what, because the problem is that now it depends on your state. Attorney fees and costs here in Florida. I think as soon as they changed that statute, within a month, Morgan & Morgan stopped. They're like, they didn't take on any more claims. They're just like, we're done.
That's crazy. So, yeah, because Morgan & Morgan's big, aren't they? They're like
massive.
Are they the whole South?
They're like the whole nation. I was in Tennessee doing an appraisal the other day, and I saw a billboard in Tennessee too. So yeah, they're all over. But they do a lot of personal injury and just a lot of other stuff. It's just a massive law firm. But they went all in on claims for a while, and ever since they changed that statute, they changed the law. They dropped out. They're like, nope.
So do you guys have? What about? Are you a two-party state for appraisal now as well, or do you still have appraisal that you can use?
No, we still have appraisal. The beauty about Florida is we could act as our own appraiser on a lot of insurance claims.
Okay.
Which is great. I don't see that lasting very long. State Farm, we can't. Several other insurance companies, we can't act as our own appraisal. If the policy language says disinterested, then we can't as the public adjuster. If, however, the appraisal clause just says, what's the word? Oh my God, I can't think of the word. Like just like a normal human being, It normally says. I forgot what the wording is for. Then yes, we could act as our own appraiser, and I could literally name myself as an appraiser. But I know most of the country's not like that. Most of the country, you do have to have a disinterested separate part, which sucks too, because that's an additional cost on the insured that they have to pay on top of your fee.
Yeah, which is crazy. I know I do there's like 3 other PA firms locally, and we all kind of kick appraisal stuff back and forth. But yeah,
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it so that it doesn't, you just do it for free and you just do appraisal for appraisal. That's the way. That's the best way. That's the most humane way so that the homeowner doesn't have to pay more.
yeah, and that's what we try and do. The hard thing with is in the state of Nebraska, it's a two-party state, meaning that we have to, if we demand appraisal, the insurance company has to agree to go to appraisal.
Oh, that's what you mean? Yeah, that's there's several insurance companies that have that as well. And that is bonkers to me too. I'm fighting with you for 3.5 months on getting a claim paid. I now decide, hey, we're at a standstill. I'm going to request appraisal. And they just say no. I'm like, wait, but what's your reasoning? I don't need a reasoning. I just feel like saying no. Both sides have to agree and we don't agree. All right, so now what? You want me to sue you? Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, and literally that's the only other option that you have. Now,
I mean, do you have mediation out there?
we do.
That's kind of a joke.
Yeah.
And then arbitration, I can tell you in 16 years, I've never been to an arbitration, so I wouldn't even know. I know of it. I know about it. I have an understanding of it, but I've never actually physically been in an arbitration.
Well, the one that I was telling you about in northern Missouri went to mediation, and they hired, I don't even know who they hired, a family friend of a family friend. And they ended up getting about 40 cents on the dollar comparative to what my estimate was.
What happens in a mediation is you're basically put in a box, in a room, in a Zoom room, whatever it is. When I used to do back in the day, used to actually physically meet for mediation. Now, thank God it's on Zoom. But the homeowner gets basically put in a corner because they make this terrible offer. And you could advise the client and scream and yell all you can to try to tell him to not accept the offer, but they're just like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And then they accept a shitty offer. Happens all the time.
Yeah. Luckily enough, the attorney on that one cut his fees significantly. So.
Oh, and that was with an attorney already.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about mediations that we do ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that
and
was
the problem with the mediations too. It's normally just an adjuster that they just send out there to do the mediation. They put a cap on what he could offer, and they're just like, "Here's what we got to offer." Try to go back and forth and negotiate, and it's tough. The good thing about mediation is you could still go to appraisal if you come to an impasse. Then you could still go to appraisal.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit more about. I know that you have talked about helping public adjusting firms expand and grow. I know that when we had kind of started our initial conversation, that was kind of your initial thought, like, hey, I want to help people expand, like help these firms expand and grow appropriately, instead of you get those companies that'll explode overnight and then implode overnight as well. Tell me a little bit more about what you're doing in that space.
So the idea is, again, when I started the YouTube channel, I just was trying to impact as many public adjusters as possible to try to really help them throughout the claims process. The claims process is a very complicated process. And for a lot of new public adjusters that I've been told, like, their go-to is basically binging on my show to get a good general understanding. The target for the YouTube channel and for the book and for the courses that we have is really for that starting new public adjuster to understand the claims process from the eyes of an actual public adjuster. What that has turned into, in the process of doing that, I managed to scale Elite Resolutions, a multiple $1 million. I managed to scale this coaching, consulting business, commercial claims advocate, to well beyond 6 figures. And I've learned a lot through reading books, spending tens of thousands of dollars on coaching myself. And I've grown this freaking heated passion for business. I love business. I love entrepreneurship. I love the idea of scaling a company. I love the idea of putting together systems, processes, and everything that comes along with it. And when I created the Elite Advocate Mastermind, which is a private group of public adjusters that we get together not once but twice a week to basically teach something new, a new concept. On Mondays, it's me teaching, which is just teaching about systems, processes, leadership, mindset, sales, and marketing. Really try to help scale your business in the proper way. And then Wednesdays, we go all in on claims strategy, how you're supposed to set up your file, and then also Q&A on different claims that you got so that we could sort of help them through it. And what it's ultimately turned into is just kind of like something that doesn't exist in our industry. And it's very, 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 very valuable to the people in our mastermind. The target there is mainly guys just like you. It's the one-man bands with maybe a couple admins, maybe a couple PAs under them, and they're just trying to figure stuff out on how they can scale it. Because what I've learned in business is that every entrepreneur, when they start a business, they start because they like or they're good at the thing that they do. So in your case, it's public adjusting. You like and are good at inspecting a loss, determining the value of the repairs, negotiating with the insurance company, and settling a claim. But the running of a business is a whole different thing. Like, that's an entirely different skill that's taken me 16 years to figure out, of setting up SOPs, setting up checklists, having templates made so that it doesn't bog you down and you're not doing the same thing over and over again, hiring correctly to pass that stuff along so that you can continue to focus on the stuff you like. Then the marketing behind it, and hiring a sales team and training them so that you can start getting consistent lead flow and closing on those leads. Like, there are ways to do it that, quite frankly, it doesn't matter whether you're a public adjusting firm or you're a pressure washing business, whether you're $1 million or 100,000, or if you're 10 million or 100. My wife works for a very, very large private like pharmacy company. They're like hundreds of millions of dollars. And me and her go back and forth about the exact same issues, like the same thing. It is the same. A business is a business is a business is a business. So my goal is to try to really, ultimate goal, Josiah, is to never have to answer the question again, what is a public adjuster? It's like how we started the show. Like, that's my ultimate goal for the public adjusting industry. Like I said, it is by design that nobody knows what a public adjuster is. The ultimate goal is for either myself or Josiah or the other public adjuster down the street to have a Super Bowl commercial right after the fucking State Farm commercial. Like, that's my ultimate dream for this. So I'm using all the skills that I've developed in being able to scale multiple companies and fail at some other ones as well, and the lessons learned. And then again, the tens of thousands of dollars I spent on coaching and the hundreds upon hundreds of books that I've read to really start now trying to impact them in just understanding like the concept of being able to scale your public adjusting firm. And there's different ways to do that. And there's proper things. There's good things to do and there's bad things that you're going to do. And it's working really well. You know, we've got 20 plus members in our mastermind, and it's growing. It's growing all the time. We just started in November. It's not cheap. It's not expensive, but it's not cheap. But it's 10 times the value. Like, it is so 10x because we meet every Monday and Wednesday, and then all those live training are recorded and put into a library. I've got 5 courses that I've already pre-recorded. I've got a Claims 101, Claims 201, Sales and Marketing, Operations, Leadership, and Mindset courses. All pre-recorded. Guess what? They're all in the library as well. And then we have a community that we just go back and forth, sort of like a Facebook community, but a little bit more high level because it's all private. Like, we have one rule: whatever happens or is said or is shared in the community stays in the community.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've had that same rule since I was probably 10 to maybe 12 years old. If something's told to me, unless I'm explicitly told I can share it, I don't. That's
good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a conversation that I had with my grandfather. That's a whole nother story. What's said in the truck stays in the truck.
There you go.
Is how the conversation was said.
Same concept.
Yep. That's awesome. So yeah, I didn't even realize that you had this mastermind group going. That's really cool.
Have you seen the YouTube channel?
I dabbled in it a little bit last night, kind of prepping to see who I was going to be talking to. You and I never, like, people think that, oh, he must know all these people. No, like, literally, Vince and I shot a couple of Facebook messages back and forth. I was like, let's do it. Like, let's get together and let's have a conversation. And then I do a little prep work, and that's it. Like,
that's all you have to do.
Well, I just want to be present in what you're saying. I can talk about me for an hour, right? And that's cool. And I have some cool stories, and that's great. But, like, I want to hear about Vince, right? Like, I want to hear what you're bringing to the table. It's just like last week I had, do you know Adam Ogilvy from Orc Services? He lives around Orlando.
Sounds familiar.
So
I know Caden Tinkleberg or whatever his name is. Like, yeah. I've talked to him several times.
Yeah, Caden and I are good friends. Good friends. I use that term loosely. Like, it's weird in the business space, right? Like, him and I have worked together a lot. local, just because there's so few of us here. But yeah, so Adam started so check this out, and he was on the podcast last week. So if you want to hear more about Adam, check out the podcast last week, and that's not just to Vince, that's to everybody. But he started the Florida Homeowners Insurance Alliance. I think I got that right. And so what they do is they're going at it from the other end, where they're trying to help educate the homeowner and provide like a checklist. Like, does your policy include all of these endorsements? These are the endorsements that you want. These are the endorsements that you don't want. And so it gives kind of like a quality, like how quality is your insurance policy? Because
and he's a public adjuster?
He is not. He actually owns I think he owns a water mitigation, like insurance restoration contract.
Does he charge for that?
It's just part of the group, and his group is free.
But his clientele or his target is the customer, is the homeowner?
Yeah. Kind of like how you want to educate the homeowner on, hey, this is what a public adjuster is. This is what it does. He wants them to get like when they get their policy, that they can look at it and go, oh, hey, it's missing this endorsement. So they know that they're buying a quality product and not just buying a product, right? Because that's what we're seeing. Insurance policies now are becoming so a la carte. And like when I started, a residential policy may have 5, 6, 7 endorsements. You're probably about the same, right? You remember that? You see the endorsement page and it'd have a list about this long. Now the list is like this.
When I first started signing claims, I just had to check it was an HO3, and then I'm done. Once I knew it was an HO3, I was good to go. All right, it's covered.
Yeah, special foreign policy. Cool.
That's it.
Yeah, if it's not specifically excluded, we're good, right? And now it's like they've got roof payment schedules, and I just like in my training earlier this week, we talked about an itemization schedule or itemization. Well, what is it? So it essentially says, regardless of the product, the shingles are depreciated at 5%.
Yeah, the roof schedule.
Yeah. Roof payment schedule. Yeah, but now, I mean, even like you got wind and hail deductible endorsements. You've got water sewer backup, law or code and ordinance endorsements. Like these are all, and so every claim is becoming more and more complex because not only do you have to be able to read the initial 32 pages or whatever it is of your HO3 policy, like you said, but now you have an additional 70 endorsements that you have to go through to make sure that the coverage is not taken away, or that taken away and given back and taken away, or whatever the case may be, right?
So let me give you a breakthrough idea. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to want you to make sure that you tell your audience to fast forward to 33 minutes and 15 seconds, because every public adjuster, quite frankly, is going to want to hear this. It's the idea of productizing your service. Why is it that as public adjusters, we sign a claim, we sign it on contingency, and then we don't get paid until the end of the claim? What are the biggest struggles with that? You have to wait until the claim gets paid. You don't really know how much cash flow you're going to get. You have an idea. Obviously, as public adjusters, we put a sort of a ballpark valuation in our head, which is the reason why we even sign it. But when that happens, you can't predict cash flow. And if you can't predict cash flow, you don't know where to spend your money, because you're not sure if it's going to be a good month or a bad month, because you don't know which claims are going to fucking settle ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't predict cash flow and you don't know where to spend money, you can't scale your business. What you brought up with your friend is, first of all, a genius idea, where if even as a public adjuster, you can go to a home and you could provide the product of, let's say, a policy review, or let's say a homeowner actually has a claim. You go, you say, all right, look, here's what I'm going to do. What do you do, Josiah, when you do sign up the claim? What's the first thing? What are some of the first things that you do?
Well, first thing is I request a certified copy of the policy.
All right. But when you go out, what is the first thing that you actually present to the insurance company? You present basically some sort of a claim package, correct?
Yep.
You take photo documentation. You photograph the entire house and all of the entire loss. You scope out, you measure the house, ultimately put an estimate together. you ultimately put a narrative together of what you feel happened and why it's covered. Then you gather all the expert documentation, any invoices that you have, and you submit that to the insurance company. That's a product. And that's a product, in my opinion, that public adjusters should charge for a flat fee. Now, depending on your state, depending how the statutes read on what public adjusters are allowed and not allowed to do, you have to take a look at it. But there's no reason why you can't just take a claim, charge $2,500, promote that, get up in your BNI group, in your networking group, in your whatever other networking group that you're a part of, that you're trying to spread the word. Say, hey, look, this is the product I'm selling. You don't have to sign up for me at 10%. It's $2,500. I take it a step further. What kind of recurring services, I want you to think now, Josiah, what are some recurring services that you could actually provide a client, not only throughout the claims process, but even after or before the claims process? A yearly inspection, take a look at it, see how it's going. Every 6-month policy review. Why not charge $5 a month, $10 a month, $15 a month? That's ultimately how you scale a business. You can't scale a public adjusting firm, and take it from me, I was very limited as to what I can do, because once hurricane season was over and it's the year after, and I got to bank on another hurricane coming up. If not, I can't keep up with that. I can't generate that kind of claims flow that I was generating before with my guys. I'm talking hundreds upon hundreds of claims we brought in a matter of months. So now I've got that cash flow, so I want to spend it all. But what happens the year after? If we don't get a hurricane, that's not going to be the same cash flow coming in. So we have to find a way to ultimately productize our service. In my opinion, either like that guy, charge for that policy review, even if it's not that much, even if it's $49, $100, whatever it is. You start selling that as a product. Now those are your customers. They're no longer your clients. This is a product. It's no longer a service, and you can start actually generating predictable cash flow. You can run ads behind it, and you just start selling it. And it's really something that's revolutionary. If you were able to capture all that, and I'm going to find a better way to actually like lay it down so it's understandable, but it's something that I would like public adjusters to really consider, okay, on actually generating revenue that they can predict.
Well, and it's funny that you said that, because I had the same kind of thought process here probably within the last 4 to 6 weeks, where I'm not sure why public adjusters don't take some sort of, for lack of a better way of saying it, a retainer for their services. Because if you look at it as a public adjuster, right, I am assuming, like, okay, so we'll put it this way. I have a file. It is a very large file. Like, the house was hit by a tornado, an EF4 tornado went about 50 to 80 feet behind it, right? Now, we'll just say Big Red said, okay, yeah, I don't care either, but like, I don't want to deal with that.
We already said it anyway.
I know. We talked about that with the factual proceedings and the fact that they pay for. Anyways, Big Red is out there. They say, here's $30,000 worth of damage. Initial. This has happened within weeks after the storm. So they go non-responsive to the homeowner. That's the only reason I'm involved at all. So the homeowner reaches out to me through a mutual acquaintance, finds me and says, hey, can you come out and do an evaluation? Well, it's a $1.2 million house. So all of the hardy board siding is screwed. It's all it's all loose. All $225,000 worth of windows had the gas sucked out of them. The roof is screwed. It's got debris impacts all over the roof. I mean, we're talking we'll put it this way. The brick facade on the front of the house has chips in it from where debris hit it. Right. So I have been dealing with this claim since June of last year. I have been out on no less than
haven't been paid a single penny.
I haven't made a penny. Not a penny off of this.
I know. 16 years, Josiah. I know you're paying.
You get it? Like, I'm preaching. This is like me preaching to the choir, right? And so, and it's interesting because there's another mutual contact. You probably know him, Aaron Singer, with Bulldog, right? Down in your neck of the woods. Yep. Like, they're based out of Miami. Him and I had a conversation like 2 weeks ago, offline, and he's in the same boat, same pain. He goes, how's it going? I said, money's tight.
What if you charge $2,500 to deliver a claim package? First, understand what I think people don't understand is I think the limiting belief people have behind that is that I'll make more money on the percentage, right? If I sign it up on contingency on 10, 15, 20%, I'm going to make a lot more money doing that. Sure, that's great, but you're also going to be stuck with not only waiting potentially, and you already know the larger the claim, the harder it is. Not only stuck 6 months, a year before you even see it. And by the way, it's never a one-time payment. It's always 2, 3, or 4 separate payments that come in. You're also having to put the work in throughout. Like, you're just getting the money right there. So if it's a multi-million-dollar loss, say you charge $5,000, say you charge $10,000 for that claim package here, boom, there you go. You know what's going to happen. You already know, Josiah. You know what's going to happen within a few weeks or a couple months. They're going to call you and they're going to say, I'm Doc. I don't know what to do. Then what you do, I'm with you on the retainer. Give me $1,000 retainer. I'll provide you 4 hours. $250 an hour. Once those 4 hours are done, you're going to have to pay another $1,000. What's the point of this? I'm thinking business, right? I get money up front. I get money before I even provide the service, as opposed to having to wait forever and a day just to even receive the money. Like, that is by no way, it's impossible to scale. Ask Aaron. Ask Bulldog.
Oh yeah, no, I think they went through some growing pains.
Growing pains. They've gone through some fucking pain. I don't know the actual story, so I'm talking out of line. So I apologize. I don't want to insult anybody, but I know that
It's great people over there. I've dealt with.
It's been a tough time. It's been a tough time. Well, the owner, Aaron's partner, is named Vince, like me.
Yep, it is. Yeah, I've had conversations with both of them. They're both great guys.
It's very difficult to scale a public adjusting firm on the model that 99.9% public adjusters use, which is sign the claim, do all the work, and get paid when it's over. That is not how you scale a business. I've learned too much through pain, through success, and through all of it that you just can't do it. You have to what you call productize a service. They're no longer your client, and you got to even change the wording. They're not your clients anymore. They're your customers. It's not a service you're providing. It is a product that you're providing.
I just think it's serendipitous that literally I just thought about this a couple weeks ago.
But you got to implement it. Here's the thing. Here's where people fail. Is like you have to go all in on it. If you don't, if you look at the claim, you're like, should I offer him the $2,500?
No, it's everybody's got to be the exact same.
No, like, just you. Just a PA firm. Like that PA firm and that PA firm owner, the only way they're going to actually make a difference is by going all in. And then the other option you have too, technically, is provide the product up front. When they do come back with their issues, then you can sign the contingency, right? And then you can charge a percentage. You can do that too. Although I would think it's better to go with the retainer model better because you're getting $1,000 up front. But anyway, the funny thing about all of this, it's a great idea on paper. It really depends on the state you're in and the public adjust laws. Like, for example, in Florida, it's a little bit fishy, right? Because if I'm acting as a public adjuster, then I have to provide a public adjuster contract. And the public adjuster contract, more often than not, I believe we can charge per hour, but more often than not, it does have to be a contingency. So it gets a little it gets a little complicated. Texas, you can't charge more than the 10% of the total value of the claim. So if you do charge that $2,500 plus a retainer, whatever it is, it cannot go beyond the 10% of the claim.
Yeah. Well, and I know that, like Louisiana, they have, hour. Yeah, it's all per hour. I know, so that, I mean, it really just depends on your jurisdiction. Well, then you have the 3A states too that you can be like Alabama, Arkansas, and Alaska, where you can't technically be a
consultant.
Yeah, you're operating as a loss consultant or a building consultant.
And then when you're putting your narrative together, let's say for your claim package, maybe you just change the narrative so you're not so much about based on this endorsement in the policy, this is a covered loss because of you just have to be like, no, it happened on this date and this is the damage and that's it. You can't really talk policy, I guess.
Yeah.
It gets a little, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Oh, I think I can foresee the public adjusting industry expand in the coming years just because of the current climate in the claims world, just because of the like we were talking about the hearing yesterday, like that people don't realize that's 8 out of 10 claims, if not more than that.
You've worked that side. It did it to you.
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started on like internal policy, internal claims guidelines. Like, so Liberty, one of the carriers I worked for was Liberty Mutual. I was their commercial loss adjuster, and I handled Nebraska, Iowa, North and South Dakota. Right? Not terrible. I mean, I was on the road all the time. So when I started, and see, this is just what happens when I started with them. We had 3 teams of 8 that handled our region. Our region stretched from, I was the furthest west, all the way down to Florida. Right, that was our region, like on that side swath. Right. When I left, we had one team of 6, and I was the 5th one on my team, so we went to a second team of 4. So we went from 24 adjusters down to, what is that, 9, 10? So, and that was happening across the board. And so instead of being out in the field doing claims, now we're doing more desk adjusting than anything, because that's what our volume is, you know. But their claims guidelines, they tell you exactly how they wanted that sheet written up. And then if you didn't do it exactly the way that they wanted, here's, in 3 or 4 months, here comes the quality assurance person, the QA guy, who the way that their QA worked at the time was whatever his estimate was. If you were above, you got dinged. If you were below, you got dinged. Like, and it was, if say you had 13 turtle vents on a roof, and he had 12, you'd get dinged for that 13 turtle vent. But if you had 4 pipe jacks and he had 5, you'd get dinged for that too. Like, so either way, you were getting screwed. And essentially what they were doing is screwing you out of your bonus.
Exactly. And the idea of the independent adjuster, when it first came about, is it's supposed to be independent. It's supposed to be an independent party, but they have complete control over the entire process. It's not independent at the slightest.
Well, it's Donin and Rimkus.
Right.
I mean, legit. Or insert any engineering firm that works for the carrier here, like exclusive.
They pay the bills.
Mm-hmm. Why would you piss off your best client or your best customer?
You wouldn't.
Right? It literally stacks the deck almost entirely against you, not only us as public adjusters, but the policyholder.
Ultimately.
Right? And they're the ones stuck holding the bag, you know. It sucks.
It sucks. It's bullshit, because we have to deal with it as well, you know.
Yeah.
Which is the reason for my initiative. Like, PA's got to make some money. It's too hard to make money. You can't wait 6 months to make money. You can't wait a year to make money. I don't care how big the claim is. It's just, you can't wait that long. Because what happens is, there's so much work that goes behind the settling of an insurance claim. And then I put one of those memes one day. You know that meme where that guy's like walking with his girlfriend and he's like looking behind at the other girl?
Yeah, I know.
The meme was, I put on it like current claim, and then like the girl was a new claim. Like, that's public adjusters right there all day. We're like, well, we want to sign. Let's open it up. And then like the work behind the claim. And then the problem, what's happened is, and I'm sure you felt it in Nebraska too, is the work has gotten a lot harder. Like, they require a lot more evidence. They want more documentation. They want more photos. They want more repairability tests. They want more comparables and the what is it when you take the shingle and you take it back to see where the shingle's from, you know,
ITEL or an NTS
ITEL reports, like all this bullshit, you know. And it's like, and then what happens is if you look at the other girl too much and you're signing too many claims, then what happens is a new girl doesn't look as appetizing anymore, because now someone calls you with a new claim. I was about to say new girl. They call you with a new claim, and you're just thinking, fuck, I got all this work that I got to do. I don't even know if I want to sign it.
I know.
And now you can't grow your business.
No. Yeah.
But if you knew $2,500 was going to be injected down just like that, and you'd be coming. We did the math. My firm is a very average in regards to like size claim. We don't specialize in large losses. We just do normal losses. Our average PA fee, Josiah, was roughly between $3,000 and $4,000.
I can see that. That's roof and some exterior, right?
For a lot of fucking work. What if I just charged $3,000 for the claim package and walked out?
Now, is that negotiating with the insurance company, or is that them
No,
following? Yeah.
no, no. It's something I'm trying. It's something I'm trying. And, you know, there's the claim package is so valuable if you do it right. And
Oh,
we
for
do
sure.
it, we do it right. And the way we teach it in the mastermind, we do it right. Like it is phenomenal. And if you got a nice cover page and you've got graphs and you've got all kinds of cool, this is very valuable. This is not that. This is just a workbook. But this is like, that's what, imagine as a homeowner, you're just like, yo, this is great. And then let file it themselves.
Giving away trade secrets here, man.
I don't care. There's no such thing, Josiah. Never forget that. The more people you help, the more people help you. The more secrets you give, the more secrets that'll come back. The more you can elevate others.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's a thought that I have of the like, oh, giving this away. But no, ultimately, it feeds my goal, right? It feeds the Super Bowl commercial. It feeds everything else. Again, you've been a public adjuster how long?
So it will be year 4 in September.
16 years.
I know. It's a long time.
Totally different landscape 16 years ago. It was a totally different landscape 5 years ago. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you can sit here and tell me that you feel great about the expansion of the industry. All I know is that from 16 years ago and even from 5 years ago, the landscape hasn't gotten better.
No, I would agree with that statement wholeheartedly. I would say the landscapes went down significantly, especially in my market. But I do think that the need is going to rise just because of the inclusion of all of these different endorsements, right? And if someone doesn't know what they're doing at the start, like that's why I thought the policy checklist is a great idea, right? Because there's all these different endorsements, and so yeah, I mean you can add $5,000 or $10,000 in sewer backup coverage, which is a thing up here, and it's like $25 a year. You know what I mean? It's nothing for like something that is a significant potential risk to add on. I think most of them are $5,000, maybe $10,000 now. I mean, back when I started, it was 5,000.
5,000 here.
Yeah, but you blow through that $5,000 like that.
Yeah, you better have some mold.
Yeah. But no, I think that's yes. I am a rising tide raises all ships person too. So
Good.
if it's in my head, like, and I can help you out in any way, I'll help you. Right. But I like I said, it's just funny that you had kind of come to that realization. Like I was thinking more of a retainer, trying to wrap my head around how that would work. Now, I don't know what the reception would be, but the way that you put it with providing a product, like here's a cool looking product with a bound and cover page and all of that, there's a lot of value there. A lot of value. It kind of goes back, and when you talk
and when you started out, you pilot it. So instead of charging, let's say you want to charge $2,500, you charge $250. And first 3 to 4 or 5 clients that it works for, and they fucking love it, and then you ask for a testimonial. Then you create a landing page with a testimonial. Here, purchase this today. You have a claim? Purchase this. You don't even have to worry about a percentage. One of the complaints, I'm talking the consumer side, that I get, even on us, is that when they hire a public adjuster, especially this is the pain in the ass clients, that they lose control. That they have to go through the middle. They're like, I would rather just call the insurance company myself, and they're like, and then it's on us. The pressure's on us to make sure that we're following up with the customer and they're following up with the insurance company and making sure that we're passing along the information and all this stuff. Thank God Claim Wizard, they do have a customer portal. So the portal could actually take a look at the actions that you're doing. But if you don't have Claim Wizard, or you use something where they can't have access to that, you better keep them up to date pretty often. And then those clients that are very intelligent, that they know what's going on and they want updates and they want to know what's going on, that's going straight to you. Now you're giving the powers in their hands. You've given them your power in their hands to use at their disposal.
And they can advocate for themselves. And a lot of people prefer that.
And most importantly, you're done. You're done. The pain of the claim.
Yeah. Well, the only good claim file is a closed one.
Exactly. see these wrinkles, Josiah? That's 16 years as a public adjuster, okay? I probably wouldn't look like this if I wasn't a public adjuster 16 years.
This was brown when I
Oh,
started.
dude, I got this, bro. Are you kidding me? I got 3 minutes, by the way. 3:05.
All right. So so we'll just, with that, hey, we'll just wrap on that. I think that's perfect. Tell me where we can, tell everybody where we can find you.
I'm very easy to find on YouTube. I've changed the name from the Commercial Claims Show to just Vince Perri. So on YouTube at Vince Perri Official, I think what it is, and it's really gearing. I'm also a business broker, so I'm into mergers and acquisitions and stuff like that, like going next level. But as a result of that whole business brokering and everything, I'm really trying to also elevate the entrepreneur. I'm trying to, like I was talking to a pressure washing guy yesterday. I mean, the guy hasn't even gotten past $88,000 in the last 5 years per year, and he's a one-man show, and he's a young kid, and he's out there fucking pressure washing in the hot sun every day. He's not going to make it another 5 years if he doesn't figure out his systems and processes and how to hire correctly and ultimately scale recurring revenue, productize your business, so on and so forth. So on YouTube, I'm very easy to find. If you go on commercialclaimsadvocate.com, you could download any of our free lead magnets. I've got a bunch of free guides for new book adjusters coming in, trying to figure it out. I'm very, very easy to find. I am on my DMs in Instagram. So on Instagram is also Vince Perri. On Facebook, it's Vince Perri. That we were talking on Messenger there as well. And I'm always looking to talk to people who are, trying to figure shit out. Again, I've been doing this for a long, long time, and I've graduated a little bit more. I don't necessarily take on new claims myself anymore. Just recently, I sort of decided because I want to just sort of scale this part of it now. And I really just want to help public adjuster. Public adjuster mastermind, Josiah, swear to God, look, man, I'll tell you straight up, it's $7,200 a year. It's worth $100. I'm telling you, it's worth $100. Like, I say that with complete confidence. It's so fucking good. And if anybody's interested, I invite people as my guests. We meet every Monday and Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Shoot me a message if you're a public adjuster owner, or if you work for a firm but you get large enough of a percentage where you're basically an entrepreneur. Like, come on, shoot me a message. I'll invite you as my guest. We've got 3 guests coming today for free. They're going to hear all about productizing the public adjusting firm. And I think it's going to be very beneficial. And then if they want to sign up, they want to sign up. It is a year commitment to sign up that you pay per month. And yeah, the mastermind's where it's at. So that's how you can find me.
Awesome. Vince, I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Awesome.
I look forward to developing this relationship a little bit. And I think you and I can both provide value to each other. And I really look forward to having more interactions with you. Maybe someday getting down to Tampa and
get on the
hanging
show.
out. Yeah.
Oh, come to Tampa, get on the show. I rent a studio for all of my shows. Take a look at the YouTube channel. You see, we do a live show. It's a beautiful setup. And you did a great job. You did a great job for your 7th episode. Testing 101 is when you ask a question to a host, you shut the fuck up. And you did a great job at that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I listen to podcasts so much.
Where the guy's interrupting all the time.
Oh my gosh, it drives me bananas.
Yeah.
It drives me bananas. It's like, shut the fuck up and let me listen to the guy that you have. He's there for a reason.
Right. And people aren't listening to an interview because of you necessarily, unless you're solo. If you're there, they're there to listen to the other person, not you. But the shut the fuck up rule is the only rule you should follow in podcasting.
It's like Dan, if you're going to listen to Dan Patrick, you're there to listen to Dan Patrick or Joel Klatt or insert single person here, right? But if I go to listen to Conan O'Brien and he has a guest on, he asks a question, you don't hear another peep out of them until they're done with their answer. But
even Dan Patrick, when he's a guest on, people are tuning in for that guest in that moment. They're staying on the channel because maybe when Dan Patrick talks on his own, they're going to want to hear what he says. But at that moment, when they're tuning in, it's for that guest. And Dan Patrick knows to shut the fuck up and let the guy talk.
Exactly. Well, that's it. Hey, I know you have to run. You have a heart out. Thanks again, Vince. Really enjoyed the conversation, and I look forward to future interactions with you.
Thank you, Josiah. I really appreciate the opportunity, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.
All right, cool.
Yep.